We gotta wait 50 seconds. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. It's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. It's time for our regularly scheduled city council meeting. Ask the clerk to certify the meeting notice.
This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204.
Thank you. Call roll, please.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Here.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Here.
Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Here.
Thank you. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is changes to the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We'll move down to special business, swearing in of Officer Olivia Mills. So Olivia, if you'll join me up front here. We're happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
That's the right thing to say. Raise your right hand, Olivia. That you, Olivia May Mills, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, and the state of Idaho, the laws and ordinances of Garden City, Idaho, and that you will perform the duties of the office of Garden City Police Officer according to the law and the best of your ability.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Now, if I can have Kenny and Leah and Daniel, all two of you come up. Kenny is Lydia's dad, and Ken the badge on. Council, you can migrate around here so we can. Yeah, it's a test. Sure. You're on test. Very good. Okay, let's get some pictures. So let's get mom and dad and Olivia and Daniel in the picture by yourselves, and then we'll crowd. I'm just clicking, guys. Thank you. Okay, it's small, I just stated, or it's with I'll join you and we'll have some council. Awesome. Okay, council, please. Come on up.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Congratulations on our.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you so much for that. Olivia, yes, welcome.
You're welcome. And you're welcome to stay for the hour meeting. But you're welcome to slip out there. You're welcome to stay.
Thank you very much.
Next item is Development Services, Mr. Page, Councilmember Page.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, the standard to apply here is, and the of decisions is whether the decision before us would have a significant adverse impact on the city. Does anyone wish to call out a decision as having an adverse impact?
No. No.
Mr. Mayor, we don't wish to make any action on this agenda item. Where did Mr. Mayor?
Apologies, the oath of office certificate
Oh.
was not signed and he excused himself briefly to
That is
remedy that.
important.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, while you were gone, we decided to take no action on the notice of decisions and move to F3.
Thank you. Monthly reports. Any questions of the staff that are here? Monthly reports.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
just a quick comment. I just wanted to call out that our great volunteer staff on planning and zoning is here until, Jenna, if I saw that correctly, 12:15 a.m. on Wednesday. So just want to say thanks for all their hard work, but especially this past Wednesday. So
Great.
that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Jenna, you can pass that along if you would. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to F4. Justin Lucas is with us. Jenna, why don't you introduce Justin and the topic for us this evening?
Mayor, thank you. I was going to give just a very brief introduction, which you may have already done. Tonight, Justin Lucas with ACHD is here to speak to you about proposed changes to the CIP capital improvements impact fees over at ACHD. He has brought with him Edinson Bautista as well. One thing that you will notice in your memo, a brief memo that you have in your packet, is there is a proposed change that is beneficial to the city. Currently, there is only one service area in the impact fee zone. However, Garden City does not have any impact fee eligible roadways or projects. And so for a long time, anyone who does development within Garden City pays impact fees. However, there aren't those eligible projects. And the theory is that everybody drives on Ada County roadways. They're not contained within Garden City. But you'll notice in the map that there are few impact fee eligible projects within the near vicinity of the city as well. And I'm sure that Mr. Lucas will get into that a little bit more. And with that, I thank him and Edinson for being here tonight to present to you. Thanks.
Welcome, Justice. Pleasure to have you here.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
I
members of
called you
council,
Justice.
it's okay. It's okay.
I know a justice thing.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and present. It's my hope that I can, work through the presentation, but it's not really meant to be just me speaking. Please interrupt me at any time if you have questions or concerns about anything presented. It's intended to be as much of a conversation as you'd like it to be, and I'm here to answer questions, share information, and take feedback. Ultimately, we're not eminently adopting anything. This is part of a public outreach process that we're undergoing through the month of September and the next several weeks, just seeking as much input as we can about this project. So I'll jump right into it, and please feel free to stop me at any time, as I stated. So just really quick, we've been at this for updating our plan for I think it's been over 18 months now that we've been working on the project. ACHD updates its capital improvements plan every 4 years per our ordinance. When we update our plan, we follow state law. The state laws related to impact fee collections are very clear and specific. And ACHD has had one of the longest standing impact fee programs in the state of Idaho since the 90s. And we're proud of our process of how we put this together. And we carefully try and follow the state law because that's what we're asked to do through this entire process. One thing we did this time around is we did a pretty deep dive on best practices related to impact fee programs. We went through a lot of work sessions and conversations with the Capital Improvement Citizens Advisory Committee, of which Garden City has a member on. It's not a member of staff by state law. Once again, it's an appointed person from Garden City. Kent Brown represents Garden City on that effort. We also had a lot of good conversations with our commission about ideas and things they wanted us to look at, of which service areas and the number of service areas was a big part of the conversation. So we're at a point now where we have developed essentially a draft plan with draft projects and a draft impact fee schedule, which was in your packet for your review. And I'll kind of walk through that today with you and see if you have any questions. Jumping right to kind of the heart and soul of some of the conversation. As stated, since 2012, ACHD has had a single service area. A service area is essentially where ACHD can expend the impact fees it collects. So when you have a single service area, you charge the same impact fee across that entire service area, and then the commission has discretion to spend those fees anywhere within the service area. Service areas cannot be drawn arbitrarily. They have to be supported by transportation data. The state code talks about sound engineering and planning principles. So essentially, we collected a lot of data and proposed 3 service area scenarios to the commission. One was keeping a single service area, which is supported by the data. This 2 service area model is also supported by the data based on the work we did with our consultant. And then there was a final scenario that had an overlay zone, which is a little different than the 1 or 2 service area scenario. It essentially identifies an area that has really unique and special transportation characteristics. And that area was generally the greater downtown Boise area. So we went through a lot of back and forth and discussions with our commissioners on this and discussions with the CICAC. The commission directed us to bring forward the 2 service area scenario as the draft plan. And that's where essentially we've been working since we received that direction from them. 2 service areas is a little different. You can see Garden City clearly highlighted there. It's generally Cole Road is the boundary, Gary Lane. And what we found is the transportation characteristics in these 2 areas are somewhat distinct, where you have traffic and travel patterns in the east service area, somewhat distinct from traffic and travel patterns from the west service area. I will say, and this is a point often made when looking at our county, a lot of trips travel all over Ada County. There's no single city or single area that contains all of its own traffic. There are many trips traveling all over our county. So putting these together, it takes quite a bit of analysis and engineering, planning, and judgment. So I'll pause there. I know this is a topic of interest, and see if you have any questions related to this.
So just a thought, Justin. So I'm assuming density is one of the factors that you're looking at, and what would make one zone create more impact than another. This is a pretty,
I think it's a good idea, but it's a broad generalization of a pretty good geographic area.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, yeah, it's a great question. I think the vast majority of data we use relates more to travel patterns and travel characteristics.
Okay.
I believe density plays into that. People that live in higher dense areas tend to have different travel patterns and characteristics. But we're not necessarily using density as a direct measure. When we do this type of analysis, we actually have access to quite a bit of data through Compass, the Regional Transportation Agency. They do travel surveys, and we have access to all of that information. We also used in our update, it's called data from a company called Replica, and they're actually using cell phone data to track patterns and travel patterns, not of any specific individual. They're able to aggregate this information from sources like Google Maps and others, and then use that information to highlight characteristics of travel patterns throughout Ada County. I think our average trip length, you'll have to help me here, Edison, was it about 7.4 to 8 miles is the average trip length within Ada County.
Wow.
And so it's pretty significant. And if you look at how essentially it would be hard to drive across even these service areas, it's hard to contain yourself in a service area going 7 or 8 miles. But that is what we have found through the data. Anecdotally, I can certainly understand there are people and individuals that is not their average trip length. I would absolutely agree with if that was a statement that was made. But this is on average for all citizens within Ada County. And that is pretty consistent when you break it down by city geography also. So we have a lot of that data and can share it, but it's, for example, average trip length for a citizen of Garden City falls within that range of 7.4 to 8 miles. Okay. So jumping also right into how this kind of plays out, impact fees are essentially it's just a math problem, how we calculate the impact fee. Once again, ACHD does not have the independent authority to just charge a fee based on whatever it wants to charge. What we have to do is tie the fee mathematically to the total amount of projects that are needed in the future. And these projects have to be projects that are generated specifically from capacity expansion needed across our county. So impact fees in Idaho, when it comes to transportation, cannot be spent on whatever we want. They have to be specifically tied to, by state law, transportation needs that are related to capacity expansion. And so that's something that we carefully analyze and look at when we go through this process. And essentially, we identify all the projects using transportation modeling and travel characteristics. All of this demographic and travel information comes from Compass, the Regional Transportation Agency. We project forward 20 years and we say, here's what the road is today. We add 20 years of growth, people, jobs, and the traffic generated by those people and jobs. And this road it's 2 lanes today and it needs to be 5 lanes, or it's 3 lanes today and it needs to be 5 lanes. That's essentially how we do this. All of these improvements occur on arterial roadways. The local roadways and most collector roadways are not eligible for these types of improvements, which is why the city of Garden City doesn't have many at this point, any CIP projects specifically within your city boundaries, because the major roadways that essentially surround much of the city are either state highways or they're not arterial roadways as designated by ACHD. So we add all this up, we come up with a total project cost. And as I stated before, not every element of a project is eligible for impact fee, to be eligible to use impact fees on. So we take a subset of that project cost to create the total impact fee eligible costs within our county. And then we break those down and look at different land use types, the trips that they're anticipated to generate, go through a calculation, and it spits out a fee. This calculation has been used by ACHD, as I said, for quite a long time. It's been challenged and it's been upheld many, many times. So all that being said, you can see the resulting impact fees. This is just a sampling, these 3 examples. There's on the list of possible fees, it's based on different land use types. This is just a sample of 3 of some of the most common. So for a single family home built within the west service area, as I showed on the previous map, the impact fee would be approximately $8,900. Within the east service area, it's about $5,300. You can see the office per 1,000 square feet and the shopping center per 1,000 square feet, the associated fees with those two uses. So that's kind of where we land. Please.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Mayor, just a quick question. So I'm just looking at the numbers there and maybe you've sort of addressed this already, but I see the ratio of project costs between east and the west, that the east is much lower than the impact fee rates for the bottom 3 lines, I guess is what I'm saying. So the ratio is different. So I'm trying to understand, shouldn't they be close to the same or? And I'm wondering, does that make sense?
I think so. And let me move on to the maps, and I can kind of show, this doesn't have the boundary on it, but I can show kind of why that plays out. The projects are all individual, and the estimates that go into those projects are unique to that specific project, which is why it's never going to be a perfect ratio. But using that line of approximately Cole Road, which runs, through the map here, I can reference it this way. If you look at this map with the east and the west service areas, and then you reference this map, you can see the vast majority of projects are in the west service area, with much fewer projects in the east service area, which largely accounts for the fee discrepancy. And of those projects, one key thing is some of the projects in the eastern service area are brand new roadways like the Lake Hazel extension and some other projects that are south of the freeway, which have a higher impact fee eligibility than a standard roadway widening project in the east service area, which likely accounts for some of that ratio difference. And they're pretty expensive projects too. Extending Lake Hazel through from where it terminates today all the way out to the freeway is a pretty extensive and expensive project, and has a higher impact fee eligibility. So that's kind of how it plays out. I'll show you the map with the intersection. Same thing here, where there are a lot more intersections shown as needed in the western service area than there are in the eastern service area, using Cole Road generally as your boundary line there. So once again, the way you do it is because there's more projects in the western service area, you just add all those projects up, which accounts for the higher fee in that area. And then you have the eastern service area with fewer projects and a lower fee.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear then, because what I was suggesting was it looks like the east still should be lower because of all that activity that's going on in the west zone, but you're saying that the new roadway south of the airport and possibly State Street that's going on in the east, whatever, warrants those higher fees in the east?
Yes, it's also, Councilman, it's also a function of the anticipated growth. So essentially, it's less growth anticipated in the eastern service area. So it's essentially a smaller amount of development potentially paying for those projects. So there's multiple variables that play into this. And when you turn all the knobs, it doesn't work out as a perfect ratio. But I can tell you that everything is accounted for within the plan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I've got to take you back to trips. So are we talking, and this is for clarification, because I think I may not be the only one to ask this. So is a trip to the grocery store the round trip or the one-way trip?
It's a really good question. And trips break down into different types.
Okay.
Typically, a trip is the one way.
Okay.
So there's the trip generated from your house. Let's say when you wake up in the morning, you got to go to work, and you generate that trip from your house to the job. When you go from your job back to your house, that's a separate trip. And the way those trips are attributed is different also. The trip that originates in your house, that is considered a trip that's generated by your house. The trip from your business or where your place of business back to your house is a trip that's generated by the business essentially. So that's how that breaks down. This isn't something ACHD has made up. This is national practice and best practice standards. There's federal manuals created that describe the different types of land uses and the different trips that we can expect from those land uses. Within our impact fee program, if a new development disagrees with that, they have the opportunity to go through what's called an individual assessment. So they can say, I'm not the average. I contest your assertions about the type of travel I'm going to create, and they can try and prove that they have a different travel pattern. We get a few of those. Most businesses accept the averages that we have based on the national standards.
Okay, thanks. I had one more because I just didn't know if everybody figured that out probably a long time ago. In 1992 or 3, I was on the original Capital Improvement Citizens Advisory. Out there, so, me and Kent Brown. No. And then something I'm not aware of, and I just curiosity since you're here, how do you treat a FedEx or UPS?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Or
So
do you? I mean, I don't
well,
know if that's outside
they-
the.
they're captured in the impact fees that are generated by their home base essentially. So let's say a FedEx facility is built.
Mhm.
We assess an impact fee of that facility and do our best to capture all of the traffic associated with that facility through that impact fee assessment for essentially a high turnover industrial style, package delivery center.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Okay, so it's, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
Justin, what about just kind of heavier vehicles? I'm thinking about cranes moving out to Micron, right, to help build that. I mean, countless trucks of cement, right? That impact on that road is different than my Subaru.
Yeah, it's a really good question. This impact fee program that we have is really intended to capture those needs generated by the growth. I don't think it's really designed to get to that granular detail of the trips generated by, let's say, the construction activity related to the house. It's more focused on in stasis when that house is built, what is the transportation impact of that house? And it also is not able to charge, let's say, a fee based on some sort of projected maintenance cost. It is restricted by state law to focus on capacity expansion needs, and the fees cannot be used to, let's say, do a maintenance activity because of a heavy load. It's just restricted by state law that we're not able to do that.
Your thing needs to be captured through the licensing piece.
Perhaps. I'm just thinking about Cole Road, right? That cuts our city in half. And there's to Kent's point, right? There's a pretty big difference between the east and the west fee there, right? And so it's a tough conversation to have with a citizen, right? So if I build here, this is my impact fee. If I build there, this is my impact fee. Can you show that again?
Absolutely.
That's it. Actually, it might be right there. No, the difference.
The fees-
You were already on
the
that
fees
screen, I think.
Yeah.
The one you had up prior to this, there you go.
There you go. This one, yeah.
So if you're on the east end of town, you've got the.
Almost
50
$3,000 more.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, so,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So Garden City split down the middle to Councilmember Page's point. If you develop on the east, it's less expensive than develop on the west. We have a lot of development opportunity on the east, which will really benefit those developers. Really, the only development opportunity you probably have in the west is the cornfield that's in our area of impact. Who knows when that'll be developed? And I understand these are based on a 20-year plan, so to speak. And so since we don't have any new growth really in Garden City, and never will probably for 20 years, except for maybe that cornfield there. So in my understanding that we're going to pay all these fees, whether it's
east or west, and none of that money is gonna really go into Garden City, cause it's all gonna be focused on the growth in CUNA and Star and Eagle and East Boise.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's just, we're just paying fees, and you're just telling us that our money is going somewhere else, is what I'm hearing from your presentation.
yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, it's a really good question, and I'll do my best to address it. So the fees are paid through by, primarily by the development community. They're not ever assessed directly to Garden City in any way. So it's development within the city limits and developers that choose to develop within the city or in any other city. And those fees are intended to address transportation needs based on this two service area model
Right.
within the service area that they are
I
collected.
get that.
And so that seems clear. And you're absolutely right that there are no projects identified in our plan based on the analysis that are directly within Garden City. We do have projects along the State Street corridor under ACHD's jurisdiction. Right now, we're building a very large project at State and Pierce Park, which is adjacent to, I believe, a major development that was approved by the city of Garden City. So to say that there's no benefit for citizens of Garden City for transportation improvements across the county, just from the numbers and the data, I don't think that's necessarily a fair assertion. Certainly, as a city, I understand your position on that. But looking at the data, that's kind of how it plays out, that the citizens of Garden City are using the transportation infrastructure across Ada County.
Right.
And we're building projects to try and develop that. But your point, I think, is why, partially at least, why the commissioners are looking at the two service area model. It's feedback, much like what you just gave us, that kind of pushes them in
I
that
think
direction.
we're so unique, right? Because we're the only city like that. We don't have any greenfield development in our city, and Star, Eagle, CUNA, Meridian, Boise do. And so we're really being penalized by not having that opportunity because we're landlocked. And so then it becomes, well, where can you spend impact fees that get spent on our development in our city? And it's like, well, bikeways, sidewalks, all those type of things. And Director Thornborough mentioned that in her note to the city. It's like, well, give us something, right? Because right now what I'm hearing is we're gonna spend all this and really no new money is going into the city limits of Garden City for 20 years, or until maybe that cornfield gets developed if we annex it. And so can you maybe talk to, are there other infrastructure projects like sidewalks or expansion of bikeways or pedestrian paths, which would really benefit Garden City because we got density like no other city, that some of those fees might go there? Or is this strictly on new roadway construction in the areas that are growing in the county?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, so as it relates to these specific fees, these are can only be spent on the projects identified in the plan. So that's very fair. ACHD does have other programs that are not connected to impact fees that are set aside by the commission for projects like what you're discussing. There's federal dollars that we go after, and there's several projects identified within the city limits of Garden City that are have been awarded federal dollars. And then there's local dollars that the commission allocates to build the types of facilities that you're talking about. We have done that in the past and have projects planned in the future to do that. So just because there's no impact fee eligible projects identified within Garden City, that does not mean that there are no projects that will be built within Garden City.
Right. I mean, I totally understand why you need to charge impact fees. It needs to pay for the growth of the county. I mean, that's not lost on me. I think the frustration is we don't really get much benefit here in Garden City. And yes, we can use some of those projects, but even getting on your 5-year regular plan for Garden City is extremely difficult. And so we get a presentation from ACHD and your 5-year plan, and the number of Garden City projects on there ranges from 0 to 1, right? And so I think I think it's probably a frustration that council's had probably for the last 10 councils with ACHD, and boy, we'd really love to have some of those dollars stay home a little bit better, but it's just the way it's structured or set up, it's just not. And so I think that's I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Justin, thank you for being here. My question is a little bit different. I'd like to understand what the guidelines are and the definitions that dictate a traffic signal versus a roundabout. Can you help me understand some of that?
Yeah, I'll do my best, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman. You know, it is project specific. Each major capital improvements project, there's a traffic analysis that we complete to determine the ultimate decision on whether it's a signal or a roundabout. I will say that it's probably been about 10 years now that the ACHD Commission, based on national kind of standards and best practices, essentially says we prefer a roundabout if the traffic analysis supports it. So we start with the assumption that we'll do a roundabout, and then we would only build a signal if it comes through the traffic analysis that the roundabout is not a viable option. The reason behind that is actually really simple. It's safety. There's not a study available that would tell you that a traffic signal is safer than a roundabout. And the reason for that is the severity of the collisions within a signal the potential for severity is much higher within a signalized intersection than a roundabout. And potential severity is what leads towards incapacitating injuries and death within traffic crashes. And that's just due to the design itself. It's really hard within a roundabout to get in a T-bone crash because it's most of the accidents which do occur, no intersection is perfect, are either glancing blows or the type of accidents because the speeds are so much lower within a roundabout that do not result in a tragedy of an incapacitating injury or death. So that's the basics behind how we make that decision. Now, there are times when, due to travel characteristics, a roundabout just won't function based on sometimes there's an imbalance in the traffic flow, and a roundabout likes balance coming in on all sides. When you get imbalanced, it doesn't work as well. And sometimes there's corridors where the signals are all, they need to be connected and timed together, and doing roundabouts makes that obviously much more difficult. So there's a lot of variables in there, but I hope that helps at least answer your question a little bit. But those are the types of things we look at when making that decision.
It does. It helps tremendously. Thank you. So what would dictate, so for instance, we've talked about we're landlocked. There's a piece of property at 37th and Adams, I believe, that will be vacated by ACHD, likely redeveloped. Would it make sense to have a roundabout in that area if it's redeveloped with, what I would expect mixed use or high density? I would be curious, if there is that development, what would dictate, or how could we potentially encourage a roundabout in that area?
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead of, what could be there. ACHD, you're right to point out, we do have a plan to essentially vacate our current campus in that area at 37th and Adams. But ACHD doesn't plan to act as the developer of that property.
Right.
We wouldn't dictate what it is. Ultimately, that would be a land use decision from the city to decide how you want that property to develop. Now, if there was a specific, a proposal that came forward where they needed some kind of control, or they wanted to reconfigure it, and there was an opportunity for a roundabout, I don't see why that's not possible. It's just hard to predict what exactly would be built there, what the developer's vision would be for the property, since that's all something that would be in the future.
Fine. I have one final question. Apologies. So our Director of Development Services did note that it wasn't clear how the impact fees will be used for bicycle traffic. Do you have any more clarification or details around that?
Yeah. We looked a lot through the best practice review at impact fee eligibility of different project elements. There's some ambiguity within state law about the opportunity to include bicycle and pedestrian facilities within the impact fee programs. What I can tell you is this: within a new project, a widening of a road, there's probably a higher possibility of doing that. Those elements are often in greenfield development, and I recognize this does not apply much to Garden City. It's very fair. Those elements are usually exacted from the developer when they install their frontage improvements. We get the bicycle and pedestrian facilities when they install their frontage. So the ACHD Commission historically has chosen not to include those elements and including within this draft within impact fees. Now, standalone bicycle projects, for example, that the city of Garden City may want to include within your area, those would not be eligible for impact fees in any scenario under current state law. What they're referenced as within state law, it's called an existing deficiency. And so if you have an area that develops and it doesn't have those elements, you can't use impact fees to cure a problem from the past. You can only use impact fees to try and solve a problem that may be coming down in the future. And it's just that basic idea. That's why they're so focused on impacts of growth, primarily vehicular, the changes in trips, because we can quantify it. It's a farm field today. It's going to be houses. The only reason that road needs to be widened is because all of those farm fields turned into houses. And that's the genesis within state law of how this is all justified. Now, if it's already been developed and it's a roadway that has no sidewalk, it's hard to claim that there's anything that's changed except now we want a sidewalk. And that has that limits the availability of impact fees for those types of projects. So to be 100% clear, no, ACHD's impact fee program does not include in any scenario bicycle and pedestrian facilities, but the reasons for that are different based on the type of project.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, well, we kind of stopped you there, so proceed.
Well, thank you for your questions. I really appreciate it. I try to be as candid as I can and give you the facts. I view that as my job as a member of staff. Ultimately, how you respond to what I say, that's over to you on how you want to send a letter or communicate with the ACHD commissioners. So I'll just throw that in there for your information. I showed these two maps. Really, all that's left is we're in the gathering phase of input right now. We have the presentation to our commission of the draft. The relevant elements of the draft is a plan, but we gave you the maps. We've given you the impact fee tables, so you have kind of the meat and potatoes of it. We're going to formally release the draft. Is it later this week? On the 25th, we're going to formally release the draft to all of the public. So the public will have a chance to see it. We're doing presentations specifically to those councils that have chosen to seek a presentation. And we're hoping to, gather all this input over the remainder of September and month of October from our partners, so that the commission has all of this information to help them make their final decision on how they want to move forward with the CIP and the impact fees. So with that, I'm glad to stand for any final questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Council, anything further?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to say, thank you for this. I always come away from the presentations with ACHD smarter than when I mean, because these are just things that educate us. And I hope you don't think we're trying to shoot the messenger on that. So, it's nothing, it's just more of a frustration because we're so unique compared to everywhere else. And we see so few dollars from ACHD come to our city. And so I think that's where you get a lot of these questions. But we appreciate you coming, explaining it to us. It gives us clarity. We do need a lot of new development on the east corridor. And so that'll certainly benefit any developers that develop in that part of our city, lower impact fees, which is great. And so I appreciate you just coming and hearing us out on that. Thank you, Justin.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much. These are matters of public policy. There's often differences of opinion, and we do our best to listen to all sides. And ultimately, it's up to you as decision makers to help direct us on what to do. So thank you so much for your time today. And these types of questions it's really been wonderful to be able to try and do my best to explain where we're at, and then over to you on next steps. Thank you so much.
Great. Anything else, council? Well, Justin, you did a good job.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
So I don't know who's listening, but you can put a star on your chart.
Very, very kind. Very kind.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. We'll move on to item G1. This is resolution 1220-25. This is our authorizing me to enter into our 2026 contract with the Idaho Humane Society.
Very good.
Yes. And I'm asking the council for a favorable action on this, otherwise I can't eat my bundt cake.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I want to recognize, Donna and
course.
the work that she's done, because I think a lot of that in her work really prompted us to cut a better deal with the Humane Society, which was not something we could do under the old contract, and then being flexible with us, we're able to now service cats, which we couldn't do before, and that's obviously Donna's passion, and so I just want to recognize her for being kind of staying on council to make sure we got this through, so I fully support.
I had
another
dreams
year.
about Donna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, hey, Rochelle, you don't have to stay. Pardon me. Let me
Oh, you
take-
should make her stay.
Oh, come on. It's like a child, thank you.
No, yeah.
I can't, my golf lessons, I'm the first golfer. Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.
Okay, sorry for that interruption, everybody,
No.
but we had a golf scramble today that the Chamber of Commerce did. And one of our great partners, Republic Services, Rochelle works for them, and she had a team out there, including a gentleman who left his wallet in the golf cart. So she had left early and she called me and said, can you look? There was only like 40 golf carts around the 50, but anyway, we found it. And then, so she said she'd come. Also, she left me her raffle ticket. So she won a prize. And I was stationed on the, little cities can take off on a rabbit trail like this. I think it's allowed. Okay, anyway, so I was stationed at the 18th hole. I was static there, and so everybody kind of came through and I'd welcome them and they could, I'd watch them take their shots and so forth. Well, Rochelle didn't hit a shot she was very proud of. I'll put it that way. So the raffle, she had some things in the basket there, but she also won an hour's golf lesson with a pro. So when she left the raffle ticket, she said, oh, just if I win, just give it to Susanna, who is a staff person of mine that was there with me. And when she did win, I told Susanna, you're not getting this because Rochelle needs the golf lesson. Okay, so that's what the interruption. So,
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
I enthusiastically move to approve resolution 1220-25, which is the renewal and increase for the agreement between Garden City and Humane Society.
I second that.
okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. You're set. Well, Donna, seriously,
This is.
I'm not sure this would have happened without you. I'm not sure this would have happened without you.
No,
So
seriously, yeah.
your tenacity to get your mayor to get off his stuff and get something figured out was consistent over time. And so I'm glad it's working out well for you and your cats project. So yeah, well, that's wonderful. Yeah,
All right.
well,
Thank you, Donna.
you do a great service for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Fine,
you.
thank you so much.
Okay, we'll move on to item G2. This is a resolution. Jenna, do you have anything to say about this? We'll get our Development Services Director up here.
Mayor and members of the council, the resolution tonight to amend the design review consultant services agreement is very minimal. The intent is just to add the ability to enter into agreements with specialized individuals. For example, sometimes we have people that propose artwork. And this would allow us to enter into somebody with a background in art to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down as qualifying as artwork. Or in other instances, perhaps we needed a horticulturist or somebody along those lines to help us out with appropriate vegetation adjacent to the river. And so this allows for the agreement to just send when needed to those specific expertises and enter in with those individuals.
Great, thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions, council? Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Okay.
And Director Thornborough, so is just for my benefit, is this a new resolution or are we renewing an agreement that has this existed in the past?
Mayor, Council President and Page, this agreement has existed in the past. The changes are what are highlighted in yellow in the packet. And so there are three small changes to make those adjustments.
so same agreement, just adding a few more options for you to pick
Mayor, that's correct.
subject matter experts. Okay,
And there would be, currently we have two architects who are our consultants, and that wouldn't, it's not intended to change. However, perhaps we may see somebody specifically in the art or somebody that may have better expertise in plantings than we have. So,
Way to go.
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
I move to approve resolution 1221-25, resolution approving a design review consultant service.
Second.
a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, will clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Thank you. Item G3, resolution 1222-25. This deals with surplus property. I think it's in the packet. Anything about this the council wants to discuss? Okay, I'd entertain an action.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move to approve resolution 1222-25, resolution relating to surplus property.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, will clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Thank you. Item G4, this is allowing me to enter into an agreement with Valley Regional Transit and for a sum not to exceed $8,100. Page 72 in the packet. Basically, these are the dues we pay. And I think we had the other discussion about this during the budget cycle, so, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to approve this agreement for $8,100 to between Garden City and Valley Regional Transit.
I would second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes the business on our agenda. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I've got a motion to adjourn. Got a
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? We stand adjourned.